Welcome to the Cess Talks Sports BeWise PoliSports Podcast, where sports meets culture, race, politics, and progress. Today we are honoring Black excellence for Black History Month with our episode Beyond the Checkered Flag, Black Women in Racing. I'm your host, Cess, your favorite auntie with uncle tendencies, and joining me today is my incredible co-host, Political Lil. What's happening?
All right. Hello, everyone. We're excited to bring you a special episode that highlights an important yet often overlooked part of the racing world. Buckle up. Today, we're driving into the incredible history of contributions of Black women in NASCAR and racing.
NASCAR and motorsports have long been perceived as predominantly white male spaces. Yet, Black women have been quietly making history, defying stereotypes, and breaking barriers in this high speed, high stakes world. From the pit crews to the drivers to engineers, executives, and owners, their impact is undeniable.
Today, we're celebrating those trailblazers. We'll explore the historical presence of Black women in NASCAR and racing, discuss the unique challenges they face, and highlight the inspiring pioneers who paved the way.
When we think about NASCAR and the automotive industry, we often envision an arena that has been historically dominated by men, and more often than not, white men. But Black women have been making significant strides in this space, even though their contributions often go unrecognized. In this segment, we want to honor the resilience, innovation, and trailblazing spirit of the Black women who have paved the way in both NASCAR and the broader automotive industry. Let's start with Brianna Daniels, the first Black woman to work on the NASCAR pit crew. Daniels broke barriers in 2016 when she joined NASCAR's Drive for Diversity program. Since then, she has worked tirelessly to change the perception of who belongs in the sport. Her journey from a collegiate basketball player to a NASCAR trailblazer shows the power of perseverance and determination. Daniels has become an inspiration for young Black girls who now see themselves reflected in a world they may not have considered before.
But Daniels isn't alone in making history. Let's take a moment to celebrate Tia Northfleet, who aspires to be NASCAR's first licensed African American female driver. Tia's presence in the sport is a powerful reminder that representation matters. She has used her platform to advocate for diversity and inclusion in motorsports, setting the stage for more women of color to enter the field. While NASCAR is often the focus, Black women have also revolutionized the automotive industry beyond the racetrack. Consider Madam C.J. Walker, America's first self made female millionaire, who was known for her contributions to the hair care industry, but also played a role in the automotive world. She purchased and drove a Ford Model T, a bold statement for a Black woman in the early 1900s. It symbolized her independence and success, and she even used her cars to travel across the country to promote her products and empower other women.
Another trailblazer is Crystal Wendell, the first African American woman to hold a director role in General Motors' design studio. Wendell leads GM's interior design efforts and has been a champion of innovation in automotive aesthetics. Her work demonstrates how Black women have been instrumental in shaping the future of cars, not just as drivers, but as designers and decision makers. And let's not forget Bertha Benz, a historic figure whose work helped pioneer the automotive industry. While not Black, her story intersects with the contributions of other women who defied societal norms in the male dominated world of cars. Similarly, Black women like Edith White, who advocated for African American representation in car dealerships and service centers, have shaped the way the industry serves diverse communities.
So, why is this important to highlight these women in a discussion about NASCAR? Because their contributions on and off the track represent a broader fight for equity and representation in spaces where Black women have traditionally been excluded. Their stories are a reminder that breaking into the industry requires more than just talent. It requires courage, determination, and often the willingness to challenge the status quo. Black women in NASCAR and the automotive industry are changing perceptions, opening doors, and proving that this is a space where they belong.
As we continue to explore the role of Black women in sports and other male dominated industries, let's not only celebrate their accomplishments, but also support their efforts to inspire the next generation. Representation isn't just about seeing someone who looks like you, it's about believing that you too can take the wheel and drive change, literally and figuratively. Stay tuned for more as we dive into the impact of Black women in sports and beyond. We'll also talk about what the future holds, what opportunities exist to make motorsports more inclusive, and what steps are still needed to truly level the playing field.
So, whether you're a die-hard NASCAR fan, a racing enthusiast, or someone curious about the intersection of sports, race, and gender, this episode has something for you.
Let's hit the gas and jump into it. This is Beyond the Checkered Flag, Black Women Racing in NASCAR. To truly understand the significance of Black women in NASCAR and racing, we need to go back and look at how they carved their path in a sport that hasn't always welcomed them with open arms. Let's start with the name to set the stage for change in racing history, Wendell Scott.
That's right. Wendell Scott was the first black driver in NASCAR top division, a pioneer in breaking the color barrier. But what often goes overlooked is the role of his daughter, Sybil Scott, played in his continuing legacy. His daughter Sybil went on to become a consultant for NASCAR Drive for Diversity campaign, which attempts to increase the number of women and minorities in the sport, both on the track and in the stands. She worked tirelessly to preserve her father's memory and bring more diversity into the sport. Sybil has also been instrumental in sharing Wendell's story with younger generations, ensuring his legacy isn't forgotten. Her advocacy is not just about celebrating the past, it's about creating a better future for Black women in racing. Sybil Scott is a trailblazer in her own right. Her work has gone beyond honoring her father. She's actively pushing for more opportunities for Black women to step into the world of racing, not just as drivers, but as engineers, pit crew members, and executives.
Exactly, Lil. Sybil understands the systemic barriers that have long excluded Black women from motorsports. Through her advocacy and collaboration with organizations promoting diversity, she's building pathways for the next generation to thrive in spaces where they've historically been marginalized.
And let's not forget her involvement in promoting STEM programs and initiatives aimed at young girls of color. She's connecting the dots between education, opportunity, and access to the motorsports industry.
Sybil's contributions were just as vital off the track as Wendell's were on it, but racing at the grassroots level has also seen incredible strides. Another trailblazer worth celebrating is Naomi Schiff. While she may not be a household name just yet, her impact is undeniable. Naomi has been instrumental in grassroots racing, focusing on creating opportunities for young Black girls to engage in motorsports.
Absolutely. Naomi Schiff took on racing with the determination to open doors for Black women and girls. Her work at the grassroots level laid a foundation for others to follow, challenging the notion that motorsports is a closed club. Naomi's story is one of grit and purpose. She used her platform to mentor and inspire young racers, showing them that there's a place for them in the sport. Her efforts have helped dismantle the notion that racing is a sport reserved for a select few.
Naomi's work in grassroots racing extends beyond just competing. She's been a vocal advocate for inclusivity, working with the local racing programs to ensure that underrepresented communities have access to the sport.
And let's not forget the doors she's opened for young girls to see themselves not just as spectators, but as future drivers, crew chiefs, and even team owners. Naomi work reminds us all that change starts at the ground level.
And then there are names like Renee Binkerhoff and Latasha Daniels, whose contributions might not always make the headlines but have significantly impacted the sport. These women show courage and resilience, proving they can compete in a space not built for them.
And while these trailblazers made their mark, they faced enormous challenges along the way. The systemic racism within racing communities was and still is a major hurdle. From being denied opportunities to outright discrimination, their journey has been anything but smooth.
Let's not forget the financial barriers. Racing is an expensive sport, and access to sponsorships or funding was and still is disproportionately limited for Black women. Without the backing of big sponsors, many promising talents have had to step away before they even had a chance to shine.
And then there's the environment at the tracks themselves. Stories of discrimination in competitive circles, hostility from certain fan bases, and even microaggressions in professional spaces paint a picture of just how difficult it has been to thrive in this world.
But despite these challenges, Black women have continued to defy the odds and make their mark. Their resilience, creativity, and drive to push boundaries are what we'll continue to celebrate today. So whether it's Wendell Scott breaking barriers, Sybil Scott ensuring the legacy of inclusivity endures, or Naomi Schiff creating a pipeline for future talent, these trailblazers have shown us what's possible when determination meets opportunity.
And coming up, we'll take a closer look at the pioneers and trailblazers who broke through these barriers, as well as the next generation of black women making waves in NASCAR and beyond.
In this segment, we're diving into the stories of some credible women who've not just participated in NASCAR and motorsports, but have made history. Their contributions have reshaped the landscape of racing and inspired generations.
Let's kick things off with Brianna Daniels, a true trailblazer. Brianna made history as the first African American woman to join a NASCAR Cup Series pit crew. Just think about it, breaking into a space that has been dominated by men and thriving in such a high pressure role.
Exactly. Brianna's journey is remarkable. She's transitioned from playing college basketball at Norfolk State University to changing tires in one of the fastest paced environments in sports. And she didn't just stop there. Her success has been widely recognized, making her a role model for aspiring young women everywhere.
Her story is one of resilience and determination. Brianna didn't just break the mold, she shattered it. She's proven that diversity and excellence can thrive in NASCAR, and she continues to inspire others to push the boundaries.
Next up, we have Tia Norfleet, known as the first African American female NASCAR licensed driver. Tia's dedication and passion for racing have made her a trailblazer in her own right.
Tia's journey hasn't been without challenges, but her love for racing has always been her driving force, and that's no pun intended. Her presence in NASCAR is a testament to perseverance and passion in a space that has been anything but welcoming to people of color, especially black women.
And Tia's impact goes beyond the track. She's been a vocal advocate for diversity and inclusion in motorsports, encouraging more young black women to get involved in racing, whether as drivers, engineers, or even team owners.
Now let's talk about Nicole Lyons, a powerhouse in the world of drag racing. Nicole made history as the first black woman to compete at National Hot Rod Association's top sportsman's division.
Her achievements in drag racing are extraordinary. Nicole's skill and determination have not only earned her accolades, but also opened doors for countless aspiring black women in motorsports. She's proven that the track isn't just for the guys, it's for anyone with the drive to compete.
And beyond her success on the track, influence has extended into mentorship, showing young women that they too can achieve greatness in motorsports. Her story is one of grit, ambition, and breaking barriers.
So there you have it. Four incredible women who've made history and continue to pave the way in motorsports. Their journeys remind us that while the road to change isn't always easy, it's always worth it.
Coming up next, we're going to talk about the current challenges for black women in NASCAR and motorsports. What steps are being taken to ensure that these stories are not just the beginning, and how we all can play a role in pushing for greater diversity and inclusion.
Now that we've explored the inspiring stories of trailblazers and pioneers, it's time to take a hard look at the current challenges black women face in motorsports. These barriers are multi layered, touching on financial, cultural, and structural issues that make breaking into the sport an uphill battle.
Let's start with financial barriers, which are some of the biggest hurdles in motorsports. Racing isn't just a sport, it's a high stakes investment. The cost of car ownership, maintenance, and securing access to professional circuits are astronomical. For many aspiring black women racers, these costs are a non starter.
Exactly. And it doesn't stop there. Sponsorship and endorsement opportunities are often scarce for black women in the sport. Sponsorships are a lifeline for racers, covering everything from equipment to travel expenses, but the support isn't coming in the same way for women of color.
It's a vicious cycle. Without sponsorship, you can't compete at the highest level. And without competing, it's hard to attract sponsors. This financial gatekeeping makes it nearly impossible for many talented racers to showcase their skills and climb the ranks.
All right, let's talk about another game changer in NASCAR. This time, we're shining the spotlight on someone making history not on the track, but as a team owner. Let's give it up for Melissa Harville LeBron, the first black woman to own a NASCAR team.
Yes, Melissa's story is incredible. She is the owner of E2 Northeast Motorsports, a team that competes in both NASCAR, Wheeling All American Series, and Camping World Truck Series. What's even more amazing, she built her career in entertainment before diving into motorsports, proving that you can pivot to a completely new field and still make an impact.
Absolutely. Melissa started her NASCAR journey as a single mom of seven. Yes, 7 kids. She originally brought her sons to a NASCAR diversity event to explore careers in the industry, and that's where her own spark for the sport was ignited.
And she didn't just step into the industry quietly, she made history. Melissa became the first black woman to own a NASCAR team. And she's been an advocate for diversity and inclusion in the sport ever since.
What I love most is how she's creating opportunities for underrepresented groups, both on and off the track. Her team, E2 Northeast Motorsports, reflects her vision of inclusivity, with drivers and crew members from diverse backgrounds.
It's so inspiring. Melissa breaking barriers not just for black women, but for anyone who's ever been told that they don't belong in a space. She's proof that you don't need to have traditional background to succeed in NASCAR or anywhere else.
Exactly. Melissa Harville LeBron is paving the way for a new generation of owners, drivers, and professionals who will help make NASCAR a truly inclusive sport. She's showing us all that representation at the ownership level matters just as much as it does on the track. All right, we talked about some incredible women in the automotive and NASCAR industries, but let's shift our focus to someone whose brilliance shines both on and off the track. Let's give some major props to Dr. Jennifer Satterfield Siegel.
Yes, Dr. Satterfield Siegel is truly a powerhouse. She wears so many hats, it's hard to know where to start. First off, she's a board certified pediatric dentist. So she's truly already making an impact in the medical field.
But she didn't stop there. Dr. Satterfield Siegel is also the first African American woman to co-own a NASCAR team, Rev Racing, which she co-owns with her husband Max Siegel. That alone is history in the making.
Exactly. And what's so impressive about Rev Racing is its mission. Since 2010, they've been training drivers and pit crew members to compete in NASCAR's Camping World Truck Series, the Infinity Series, and the Monster Energy Cup Series.
And let's not forget her role in the NASCAR Drive for Diversity program. This program is all about creating opportunities for underrepresented groups in motorsports, and Dr. Satterfield Siegel has been a key part of that initiative.
She's also been recognized for her contributions. Dr. Satterfield Siegel is a former recipient of the NASCAR's Drive for Diversity Industry Ambassador Award, and she recently joined the NASCAR Foundation Board. That's next level leadership.
Absolutely. Dr. Satterfield Siegel is proving that women, especially black women, can excel in any industry they set their minds to. From dentistry to NASCAR team ownership, she's breaking barriers and paving the way for the next generation.
She's a true inspiration. Representation at this level sends a powerful message that women of color belong in leadership roles and can thrive in spaces that wasn't traditionally built for them.
Well said. Dr. Jennifer Satterfield Siegel is a trailblazer through and through, and we can't wait to see how her influence continues to grow in NASCAR and beyond. And then there are the cultural and social barriers. Motorsports has long been perceived as an elite, predominantly white male sport. That perception creates a sense of exclusion for many black women.
Right. And it's not just about filling out a place, it's also about facing outright discrimination at events and in the racing community. Black women often deal with subtle and not so subtle racism, sexism, and microaggression. This toxic environment can be discouraging and even dangerous.
And let's not forget the psychological toll of navigating spaces where you're constantly questioned or underestimated. It's exhausting, and it adds another layer of difficulty to an already challenging career path.
On top of this, structural inequities within the industry make it harder for black women to gain traction. Exclusive teams and organizations often operate as closed circles, making it nearly impossible for outsiders to break in.
That exclusivity extends to media representation as well. Black women in racing receive minimal coverage compared to their white and male counterparts. Without visibility, their stories, achievements, and potential go largely unnoticed, reinforcing the idea that motorsports isn't a space for them.
It's frustrating because representation matters. When young girls of color don't see themselves reflected in a sport, it perpetrates the ideal that racing isn't a viable path for them. This lack of visibility stifles growth and keeps the sport from becoming truly inclusive.
So there you have it, a snapshot of the challenges black women face in motorsports today. These barriers are significant, but they are not insurmountable.
And coming up, we'll discuss the steps being taken to dismantle these barriers and create a more inclusive future for black women in racing. Stay tuned for Beyond the Checkered Flag.
So far, we've highlighted the incredible contributions of pioneers and discussed the challenges Black women face in motorsports. Now let's shift gears to explore the exciting initiatives and efforts aimed at breaking barriers and creating opportunity for Black women in racing.
Let's start with the grassroots efforts. Naomi Schiff is one of racing's standout examples. Naomi team is dedicated to mentoring young women of color and providing them with access to the world of racing. Through workshops, hands-on training, and network opportunities, Naomi is showing the next generation that they belong in the space.
That's right. And then there's NASCAR's Drive for Diversity program. This initiative was created to promote diverse talent across the sport, not just among drivers, but also pit crew members, engineers, and team managers. The program has been pivotal in creating a pathway for Black women to enter and succeed in the sport.
Drive for Diversity is more than just a buzzword, it's a movement. By offering scholarships, training, and career development, it's breaking down systemic barriers and paving a way for more inclusive future in motorsport. Shanti Latrice, well, Tia Northfoot is the daughter of NASCAR driver Bobby Northfoot, who holds the title as the first African American female to be licensed by both NASCAR and ARCA, the Automobile Racing Club of America.
Another key factor in these initiatives is collaboration. Partnerships with sponsors and community organizations are playing a huge role in funding scholarships and supporting Black women racers.
Exactly. These partnerships aren't just about financial support, they're about creating visibility and fostering connections. When sponsors black support back black women races, they send a powerful message that diversity and talent are worth investing in.
And let's not forget the community organizations that are stepping up to support grassroots efforts. By connecting aspiring racers with resources, mentorship, and advocacy, these groups are ensuring that Black women have a fighting chance to thrive in motorsports.
These initiatives are proof that progress is happening. It may be slow, but with the continued effort of organization, partnership, and trailblazers like Naomi Schiff, we're moving towards a future where black women in racing aren't just participants, they're dominating.
Absolutely. Coming up next, we'll talk about the vision for the future and what needs to happen to create lasting change in motorsports. As we wrap up this episode, it's time to look ahead. What does the future hold for Black women in NASCAR and motorsports? Most importantly, how can we ensure a future where diversity isn't just a buzzword, but a reality?
First up, we need to talk about opportunity. To truly level the playing field, it's essential to advocate for more scholarships, training programs, and internships that are specifically geared towards black women in racing. These aren't just opportunities, they're lifelines for breaking into an elite and expensive sport.
Absolutely. Imagine what we could achieve if racing leagues partner with educational institutions, colleges, high schools, even community programs to create a direct pipeline for young Black women to enter the sport. By integrating motorsports into STEM programs or vocational training, we can build a more diverse talent pool from the ground up. Now let's talk about representation and mentorship. Visibility matters. When young Black girls see someone who looks like them on the track, in the pit crew, or even in the executive suite, or even owning a race car team, it sparks the belief that they can be there too.
That's where mentorship comes in. Establishing programs that pair aspiring racers with seasoned professionals can make a world of difference. These mentors can guide them through the challenges of the sport, sharing valuable advice, and open doors of opportunity they might not otherwise have access to.
And current Black women racers have a unique role to play here. By engaging in outreach and community building, they can inspire the next generation while strengthening their own legacy. It's about planting seeds for the future.
Of course, we can't ignore the need for systemic changes. Policies that push for inclusion in racing teams, management, and even media representation are crucial. We need decision makers at every level of NASCAR and motorsport to provide diversity, not just in words, but in action.
That includes promoting diversity within NASCAR events and competitive circuits. It's not enough to just open the door. We have to create an environment where Black women racers feel welcome, valued, and supported in every aspect of their careers.
Exactly. Change won't happen overnight, but by continuing to push for these opportunities, mentorship programs, and structural changes, we're building a foundation for long-term inclusivity in racing.
The road ahead is long, but the potential is undeniable. Together with persistent effort and unwavering determination, we can ensure that the future of NASCAR and motorsports is one where Black women not only participate, but thrive and lead.
Let's keep driving forward, one race at a time. Thank you for joining us on this journey today.
We've reached the finish line of today's episode of Beyond the Checkered Flag, Black Women in Racing. It's been an incredible journey highlighting the trailblazers, current stars, and future of Black women in NASCAR and motorsports.
Let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've covered, from pioneers like Wendell Scott and his daughter Sybil Scott, to history makers like Breonna Daniels and Nicole Lyons, to rising stars like Naomi Schiff. These women are proof that breaking barriers is possible, even in a sport as historically exclusive as racing.
We've also shed light on the ongoing challenges, the financial barriers, the cultural stigma, and the systemic inequities that persist. But as we've discussed, the path forward is clear. Through initiatives, partnerships, mentorship, and structural change, we could create a more inclusive motorsports community.
And to our listeners, this is where you come in. Support programs like Drive for Diversity or organizations spearheading changes in motorsport. Donate to scholarships, mentoring aspiring young racers, or simply share the stories to amplify their voices.
Advocate for policies that make racing more accessible and inclusive. Whether it's speaking out on social media, attending inclusive racing events, or writing to NASCAR about the importance of representation, your voice matters.
And the conversation doesn't end here. We need to keep the momentum going, shining a light on Black women in NASCAR and motorsports who are driving change both on and off the track.
Together, we can ensure that the checkered flag symbolizes victory for everyone, regardless of race or gender. Thank you for joining us on this important episode of Beyond the Checkered Flag.
Stay tuned for more inspiring stories, deep dives, and real conversation on Cess Talks Sports, BeWise PoliSports. Until next time, you keep pushing for progress.
And remember, the road to change isn't a straightaway. It's a winding track, but with determination, we'll all cross the finish line together. Thank you all for tuning in today and for being part of this critical conversation. Together, we can make a difference. We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's episode. Share your insight with us on social media, leave a comment, or send us feedback. If you enjoyed today's discussion, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and share this episode with your friends, family, and community. Let's keep the conversation going on social media. Amplify the conversation around equity and leadership in sports, and tell us what were your takeaways. What inspired you? Tag us and let us know. And before we sign off, remember, representation matters. Stay tuned for more Cess Talks Sports, BeWise PoliSports Podcast episodes. And last but not least, remember, sports are never just about the game. It's about the stories we tell and the change we create. Until next time, stay wise and stay engaged. This is Cess, your favorite auntie with Uncle Tendencies and Political Lil. We out.